Early one morning, Hojit got ready to head back to the village. He needed to pick up some essential supplies. The round trip would take at least a day or two. He told Anna was to watch over the flock carefully. Wild animals had been active in the area lately. With that, Hojit set off on the mountain path. Anna was asked Khosrow, "Aren't you supposed to be herding the goats today?" Khosrow said he had been too tired the last few days. He wanted to stay home and take a bath today. He asked her and Tuba to take the goats to the mountains. Anna was understood how hard he worked. So, she and Tuba took on the day's herding duties. They had to protect the family's dozens of goats. He put on his bullet belt, which was neatly lined with a row of colorful shotgun shells. This old shotgun, while worn, was still powerful. It was their only defense against wild animals while grazing in the mountains. Once everything was ready, Tuba opened the goat pen and let the goats out. Recently, wild animals in the mountains had been attacking the flock. Now, every day they go herding, they make sure to bring the shotgun with them. In the depths of these desolate mountains, every shepherd is like a soldier on duty. They have no watchtowers, only mountain ravines. They have no helmets, only faces weathered by the sun and rain. They don't fight for a country. They fight for the fire in their homes, for the bleeding flock in the pen, which is their entire livelihood. After walking for a while, the flock strayed from the path. Tuba went ahead to guide the goats up the slope. The grass at the foot of the mountain had already been eaten. The truly lush new grass is often found in higher places. He and his sister-in-law, Anna, guarded the flock from the front and back to prevent any from getting lost. They needed to cross the steep, rocky terrain. Although the slope was steep, they could still find enough footholds to climb. It required them to move carefully along the rock face. However, it was a bit difficult for the little dog to walk. The landscape of the Zagros Mountains is very unique. The mountains mostly have a slanted formation. From a distance, it's as if they were split open by a giant axe, or sliced diagonally by a knife. Large sections of rock are exposed on the surface. The terrain is rugged and coarse, giving it a desolate and primeval feeling. Continuing upward, they reached a section of loose rocks. The dog following behind ran into trouble. This part of the path was a bit difficult for him. The deeper you go into the Zagros Mountains, the more you can feel the raw, wild nature of this land and the challenges that every living being within it must face. The two of them now arrived in front of a cave. Anna walked ahead with the shotgun. Naturally formed caves like this one are likely hiding spots for wild animals. She needed to check if any beasts were inside to prevent a disaster for the flock. She carefully checked for any signs of animals on the ground, such as fur, paw prints, or droppings. After confirming the nearby caves were empty, Tuba and Anna could finally relax. They guided the flock to an open slope, letting them graze freely here. This mountainous area looks extremely barren. It makes you wonder, there's nothing here. So what do the goats live on? Actually, these unassuming, low-growing wild grasses are the goats' main source of food. They take root in the thin soil and grow close to the ground. They are drought and cold resistant, perfectly suited for this dry, rocky landscape. This grass isn't suitable for raising cattle, but for goats, it's just right. A goat's stomach can digest these high-fiber, low-nutrient plants. Through long periods of chewing and rumination, they slowly absorb every bit of nutrition. The flock grazes methodically across the ground here. Their steps are slow, one mouthful at a time, not wasting a single bit of green. Anna and Tuba decide to find a place to rest. After hiking for half the day, they were already feeling tired. They stopped here, in a spot with a wide, open view. They planned to start a fire, cook and boil some water, to make a pot of hot tea, and take a well-deserved break. Then, the two began to gather firewood. They worked together on this thick branch, trying to break it. The branch looked dry on the outside, but it was surprisingly tough on the inside. They tried several times, before finally snapping off a small piece with a crack. In these high-altitude mountains, the wind is strong year-round, and the climate is dry. Trees have short growth cycles, and renew slowly. Many trees, after a few years, or a dozen years of exposure to the elements, naturally age and die, turning into dead wood. Summer and autumn are usually the driest seasons. The leaves fall off, and the branches dry out. If there's rain in the spring, the low shrubs will sprout new buds and green leaves, but it doesn't last long. In other words, greenery only appears for a short time each year. For most of the year, the vegetation here looks rather dry. This is what creates the desolate scenery we see. This is the Zagros Mountains, the reality of nomadic life. It looks desolate, but in reality, every blade of grass is life, and everything can be used. Anoas now starts to boil water. In nomadic life, cookware is the most basic tool for survival. For herders like them, wherever they go, they can set up a home. With a pot, a kettle, some dry food, and a few branches, they can start preparing a meal. The flock grazes peacefully on the slope below. A gentle mountain breeze is blowing. In the distance are the Zagros Mountains, a chain of rolling peaks. Soon, the tea was ready. The two sat down for a cup of hot tea to ease their fatigue. This life of stopping wherever you go, this lifestyle of making a fire to boil water, may seem primitive. In reality, it's a necessary adaptation to the natural world. To have a hot meal and brew a pot of tea is a true satisfaction out here. The dog is resting nearby. The little guy has been following them through the mountains and is completely exhausted. Anoas takes out the dough they brought from home. After sprinkling on some salt, she begins to knead it. Today's lunch is grilled flatbread. The dough is repeatedly patted and flattened into a large, round shape. Then the flatbread is placed directly on the charcoal to cook. This is the most common way they cook while herding their sheep. The aroma of the grilling bread fills the valley, mixing with the smell of firewood and ash. This is the essence of nomadic life, a blend of wildness and domesticity. Tuba takes a few potatoes and onions from a bundle, preparing to bury them in the embers to roast. Paired with the ash-cooked bread, this will be their lunch. This way of cooking feels like a return to a more primitive state. The texture of this ash-cooked bread is quite firm. The crust is crispy, while the inside is a bit dry. It has a unique, smoky flavor from being cooked on the charcoal. For those used to soft textures, this bread might be a challenge at first. But when paired with onions, roasted potatoes, or hot tea, you discover its simple, filling nature, carrying the rustic flavor of the wilderness. They've already cooked several flatbreads. By now, some of the potatoes are cooked through, but a few are still a bit hard. They need to roast for a little longer. Tuba uses a small knife to peel the burnt skin off the potatoes, making them easier to eat. After working for half the day, they can finally sit down and enjoy a proper meal. Anoas and Tuba are used to this rhythm. They work, they gather, and they endure. After finishing their lunch, they don't immediately get up to herd the sheep. Instead, they decide to have a small shooting competition in the mountains to relax. Anawaz goes first. Tuba places a rock in the distance to serve as a target. Anawaz loads a yellow 12-gauge shotgun shell into the chamber. It's a larger caliber shotgun shell with powerful impact, designed to fire a spread of pellets. A gunshot shatters the silence of the valley. Tuba quickly runs over to check. This time, Anawaz's shot is a little off. The target rock isn't touched, but the rock face next to it is marked with scuffs from the pellets. Now, Tuba takes the shotgun. It's his turn to take a shot. He loads a black shotgun shell into the chamber. The black shells are typically used for defense, containing larger pellets. For greater stopping power, the yellow shells are often used for hunting birds, small animals, or for target practice. Tuba raises the shotgun and takes aim, holding his breath, his eyes focused. With a loud bang, Tuba is jolted by the powerful recoil. Anawaz walks quickly toward the rock to inspect it. The surface of the stone is covered in fine impact marks. Tuba not only hit the target, but the spread of the pellets was also extremely tight, showing excellent close-range accuracy. If that had been an animal, the result would be obvious. Just as Tuba and Anawaz demonstrate, they can not only herd sheep, cook and climb mountains, but they can also shoot with precision, working together seamlessly. This is a unique characteristic of the shepherdesses of the Zagros Mountains, a blend of gentleness and strength. The two now continue on to herd their sheep. They haven't gone far when they spot something lying on the ground up ahead. They hurry forward and see that it's a fox. The fox has a slender body, with a typically pointed snout and prominent erect ears. It also has a large, bushy tail. This fox's fur is a lighter color, not the typical deep reddish-brown. It's more of a grayish-yellow or pale brown. This suggests it might be an Asiatic red fox, common in the Zagros Mountains, or a variant with lighter fur adapted to life in the arid highlands. There are clear bloodstains on the rocks, and the fox's mouth is also bloody. They examine it carefully. Aside from the blood around its mouth and nose, there are no obvious external injuries or bite marks. Their initial assessment is that it fell from a high place, judging by how fresh the blood is. The fox must have died very recently. This is a steep, rocky slope. Wild animals are constantly moving through this rugged terrain, especially when chasing prey or escaping predators. It's not uncommon for them to lose their footing and fall. This once again shows that while the landscape of the Zagros Mountains is magnificent, for the animals that live here, it's a labyrinth filled with hidden dangers. Even an animal as agile as a fox is not safe from accidents. As the sun slowly sets, Tuba and Anawaz drive their flock home, ending a long day of herding. In this remote mountain pasture, herding sheep isn't just a simple daily task. It is a constant struggle against nature, and a continuous process of adapting to life. Today's herding is officially over. Tomorrow, they will once again face the unknown mountains, along with all the challenges and gifts they offer.